City of Norco City Council regular meeting for Wednesday, August 1st. For the call to order from the State Clerk.
Council members Newton, Bash, Hanna, Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer, Mayor Hoffman.
Yes.
All present.
Are there any speaker cards before we go to closed session?
No cards, Mayor.
Seeing no cards, recess to closed session. It's 7 o'clock, and we're going to reconvene public session for the City of Norco City Council regular meeting. Anything report from the City Attorney on closed session?
Yes. The City Council considered the matters listed on the agenda in closed session. As to the first, there is anticipated litigation. There is no reportable action. As to the second, the case entitled City of Norco versus the California Department of Finance, and the case number is listed on the agenda. This case involved the Department of Finance determining that the portion of employees' retirement pension contributions which were associated with the redevelopment agency were no longer a recognized obligation and therefore were not able to be reimbursed from the state fund. The Department of Finance had, as to all cities, approved the reimbursement and then made a decision with basically with the change of employee that they were no longer going to do that with all employees, with all cities. The City of Norco, as you know, filed suit, and the Superior Court judgment was against the city's position. However, I believe there are significant potential appealable issues, and the City Council in closed session voted 5-0 to appeal the matter.
That's it. Okay. Please stand for the pledge by Miss Mayor Pro Tem Robin Grunmeyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Fred Griffin of the Norco Church of Open Doors.
Could everyone please just bow your head in prayer and agree with me, please, as I pray for this great city of Norco. Father, we just thank you. We bless you today. We thank you, Lord, that you are the God that is, was, and still to come. We thank you, Lord, for you said in your word in Proverbs 4, verse 7, wisdom is a principal thing, but in all our getting understanding. Lord, I thank you, Lord, that the city council members here today to get a clear understanding on how they are to govern this great city. I pray Job 13:18, according to the court situation, that Job 13:18, that this city will be vindicated in the name of Jesus, that there will be a surplus, oh God. Lord, I thank you, Lord, that you said that all things are working together for this city good. I thank you, Lord, that they honor you, oh God, by putting in God we trust on the wall, oh God. So we thank you, Lord, for the leading of this city, oh God, with just a unity according to Psalms 133, verse 1 says, how pleasant it is when brothers gather together in unity. It's like the oil that flows down the high priest Aaron's head, down his beard. There you will command a blessing. Lord, command a blessing, because you see unity here, oh God, with city parks, recreation, police, chief, oh God. Lord, I thank you, Lord, that all the council members and attorneys, oh God, Lord, everybody that take a part in running this great city, we ask you now to do this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Fred. All right. I'm going to ask the city manager to come join me down there at the podium.
Want to add this to the agenda first?
You go ahead. You're probably right.
Yes. In addition to what's on the agenda, staff is requesting that an additional matter be added to the agenda for consideration tonight. It's based upon input received today from the Riverside County Registrar of Voters, and so I'm asking that you place on the agenda in simple terms, a modification of the ballot measure language for the 1 cent sales tax. And it is an urgency matter because we need to report back to the registrar.
Okay. We'll handle that right after we do the public comments on item 4 before we go into 5. And so that I heard Kevin get a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have first and a second.
Please vote. That motion passes unanimously.
Oversight.
All right, now I got to go start down there. Come on, Andy, we're going down. And you can talk about your great staff. You can help me on this. Yeah, I want to make him carry the flag. Yeah, you're an engineer. Yeah. You're from It is great honor for those, city manager Andy Coro was our former chief financial officer for this city, so he knows better than I do the importance of this award. So Andy?
Well, I do want to congratulate city staff for 15 consecutive years of achieving Certificate of Achievement for Excellency in Financial Reporting. This certificate is awarded to the City of Norco, again, for the 15th straight time. For producing a comprehensive annual financial report that exceeds the standards that are required under generally accepted accounting principle, but goes on to publish a report that is very comprehensive, easy to understand, that meets the needs of non-financial statement readers. And this work obviously could not have been done without the help of every city staff. The whole framework that applies to financial management practices and financial reporting touches every aspect of the city, and is a year-round process. Certainly, the finance department, under the leadership of Gina Shukard, and our staff accountant here, senior staff accountant Melinda Van, they work tirelessly year in, year out to make sure that the city continues to achieve this very high level standard. I think this is something that the city should be proud of. It's not a lot of cities across the entire United States and Canada that gets to get recognized for this award. And certainly being recognized for this award for 15 consecutive years is remarkable. And I do again want to congratulate staff. Gina, if you could come here, and Melinda also. We have the accounting manager who's not able to be here tonight. These are the folks that actually spearhead the hard work that goes into preparing a comprehensive annual financial report that meets this high level standard. So I'm going to again, this is for the fiscal year 2017-2018. I'm sorry, 2016-2017. Again, marking the 15 consecutive years that the city has been recognized with this award. Again, I want to congratulate you and your staff for all the work you do to make this, bring this prestigious award to the city of Norco.
I've only been here since 2015, so this is Andy, and I know, I know, and Melinda has been here since 2007, so we have an amazing team. Lizette Free recently hired this last year. Olivia Hoyt retired last year. So this was a huge transition year. And I'm just so proud of the team and the city, leadership, city council, everything. This is a wonderful city to work for, and please read the CAFR. It is readable, and you'll learn a lot about the city as well. But I just want to thank Andy for his kind words and regarding leadership, and this is the leadership here that I'm proud to work for. And Linda wants to say anything.
Actually, this is from everybody's, all the staff and under councilman.
Again, on behalf of my fellow city councilmen, congratulations. And trust me, you gals and the whole staff have earned this. And I know he's your mentor, but you have shown quite a bit of leadership now. I think, Andy, she's kind of gotten away from your coattails now. So I'm really impressed over the last year how much you have done, taken over and taken some of the load off of him. So we appreciate that, all you've done, Gina. Thank you. So now we need a picture. So you have to come out front here. Come on up front. Yeah, we'll do it over here.
Jordan, I think this is, come join me.
Well, tonight it's our honor up here to recognize a young man that has made another star in the city of Norco across the United States. Dalton, you want to come forward? I'll try not to embarrass you, buddy. But your mom's already embarrassed you. This is Dalton Shepard. He is a champion bull rider. He was the California State champion bull rider this year. He represented our district. What is that, District 8? District 8, he was the champion. He went to the state finals and won the state championship up there. Then that qualified him to go to Rock Springs, Wyoming for the national finals. And I believe 142 bull riders, Dalton. 120 bull riders from the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and Australia. And Dalton tied for first in the second go-around, and he tied for 8th or 10th or something like that in the national, in the whole finals. And everybody's real proud of you, buddy. I mean, you've kept the city's name out there and your name, and I just want to ask you one question before I give you the microphone. It's a lot more fun to get off after the whistle blows than it is before, right?
It depends.
Don't hurt as bad?
No.
Okay, Dalton, we're going to give you a chance to speak, buddy, but we're proud of you. Then I'll read the proclamation here.
All right, thanks. All right, this time I did write a speech. All right, I just want to say I appreciate all the support that came from the city of Norco and the residents. This town has been good to me, and I am lucky to be supported. High school, state, and world finals were a great experience thanks to the support from Mayor Hoffman, City Council Member Hannah, Council Member Bash, Rural and NHA members, Brian Petrie, and Supervisor Tavaloni's office, and Norco Mountain Posse. Thank you.
Certificate of recognition. The City of Norco hereby honors Dalton Shepard for earning the title 2018 California High School Bull Riding Champion and placing top 10 bull rider and second round champion at the High School Rodeo World Finals. And we appreciate it, Dalton, and wish you continued success, buddy. Okay, let's go around here and get it.
Don't run away, Dalton. Come on up here, Mom. Come on up, Daryl. No, yeah, they can be up here. Bring your little brother up here. You know what's fun You know what's fun about watching these kids grow up and doing this? I remember when he was riding sheep, starting out, and then Daryl was showing him out of that, and Mom. So it's fun to see kids grow up in this town and continue the Western tradition, the Western lifestyle. And now one of the things you don't know is Dalton just graduated from Norco High School with honors. And he turns 18 tomorrow, so he's an adult. So Cheryl, register to vote, please. Okay, thank you. So, but anyway, take your picture there and take care. What's that? Oh yeah, you got his video? Show his video. Go ahead and sit down. You guys got to take a look at this. All right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Dalton Shepard, Team California, is going to get a bull ride.
Wow.
What a bull ride for Dalton Shepard. I'm going to go ahead and give it to him right now. He's going to be our B&W contestant of the day. How about that? What a ride. Here's what he's going to do. Go to number one, three-way tie, 81 points for Dalton Shepard.
Man, you see this kid get rocked over in his hand and opens up with his outside foot. Goes. Is
that it, Matt? You did good. Congratulations, Dalton. Proud of you. Now, if you happen to go up to Wyoming, you'll see his I don't know if that billboard's still sitting on the highway. He's plastered all over there with his face up there, so he's famous outside of Norco. All right, moving right along. We'll go to the Southern California Association of Governments. Our fellow member of SCAG and Mayor of Eastville, Clint Lormore. Thank you, Clint, for being here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for facilitating and setting this up. My name is Clint Lormore, Mayor for the City of Eastville, but in this capacity tonight, I am I'm here on behalf of SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments, District 4, which includes the cities of Eastville, Norco, and Jurupa Valley, and I am honored to continue to serve in that capacity as the representative for this region. I was bringing in the big guns. He was supposed to be here, one of the staff members from SCAG, to help me out with this update. So I'm sorry you're stuck with me. So we're gonna work our way through this. I want to say, I love this town. I do. I come over here, you have great restaurants, but this weekend in particular, had a great time at the Day of the Cowboy, and I'm not here to rub it in, but that's 2 years in a row now that Eastville took the cow chip tossing. Yes, exactly. And I want to thank you guys for letting us win on that one. And you can't have Dalton come out and be a ringer for that contest, because I know he'd beat us all. I'm not giving you ideas. Anyway, I want to get into some of the meat here. In that SCAG is broken into districts, unfortunately, it is one person that sits on the regional council. And however, there are other opportunities for appointment. And that is through presidential appointment to one of these subcommittees, and there are a number of them. If anybody on the council is interested in such an appointment, please let me know, and that will go through the 2019 General Assembly. So let me know, reach out to me, phone, email, etc. We'll get your name in there, and hopefully we can get an appointment through the president of SCAG. And just go to the website, check out the different policy committees if there is one that you are interested in. There are a couple of future grant opportunities available, and this would be mainly for staff. These do come out, they are emailed out, but I want to put these on your radar. So the first one is Future Communities Initiative. So as part of the new Future Communities Initiative, SCAG is working to make it easier to create and share data and conduct data-oriented projects to benefit local cities and county agencies. So on May 31st, SCAG had a meeting on this, and the partnership that is taking place is with the City of Los Angeles, specifically the Data Science Federation, and along with many colleges and universities in the region to tackle pressing policy issues using data-driven decision-making. So there are 5 local jurisdictions. I think the staff reached out to those jurisdictions individually that are doing a pilot. However, in 2019, this will be available to all jurisdictions. So this is a possible future grant opportunity, putting that on your radar. And there's also another grant opportunity, and that is the 2018 Sustainable Community Planning Program. And SCAG is developing guidelines for the 2018 Sustainable Communities Planning Program prior to issuing a call for proposals. The next call for proposals, SCAG is identifying specific project types. And so they are looking at to advance regional strategies and programs. And so this, again, will be coming out down the line. I had it in my notes here. Yes. So you will likely be seeing the application coming out for this in September. And so it is and SCAG is also soliciting feedback from stakeholders on proposed project types in order to identify the projects that meet local jurisdiction needs and contribute to greenhouse gas emission reductions, or GHG reductions. 1 and 2, I want to make sure you guys are receiving the updates. I'm sending them along every once in a while. When we have meetings, they cover what took place at those meetings. So we are dark this month at SCAG, and so you won't be getting one this month, but the one that I have here is from last month. And I also want to thank all of you that took part in the General Assembly recently. It's a good opportunity for people to come, and your participation facilitated SCAG getting to have its highest participation ever in terms of its General Assembly. So thank you for attending. I think it was a good conference, and that took place on May 3rd and 4th, but many of you know this. So we had over 950 civic leaders from throughout Southern California. SCAG, as you all know, is comprised of 191 cities, all of Southern California with the exception of San Diego County, the counties in Southern California. So let me see here. I want to make sure I'm getting to stuff but not go too much into the weeds. There are Go Human Awards available, and so what that is, I don't know if you guys have problems with this here. We have them every once in a while, particularly as the school kicks off with the new year, with traffic incidents where people aren't paying attention to, they're paying attention to their phones, they're not paying attention to pedestrians or bicycles. This is the Go Human campaign. It supplies artwork in order to facilitate getting this messaging out into the community, so you can push it through your social media platforms. The City of Eastvale is taking advantage of it this year. We're starting that, but the idea is to humanize the transportation, that we all share our roads together. And there are projects and grants available through the Go Human campaign that I would encourage you to look at, whether that be enhanced sidewalks or bike lanes. So those are available. Please check out the website. And I can ramble on and on. I'm going to stop there. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And if you give me too difficult a question, I will be sure to get back to you. But
Council have any questions of Clint? Greg? Kevin? Oh, Greg, you have one?
Not a question, though. I just wanted to thank you for the updates that you've been doing.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And that's been a good change going forward.
Good.
From your appointment. So
I appreciate that, and I look forward to continuing that. So thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Kevin? And I got to admit, you know what? We got him to buy a hat.
Yes.
So, in boots. So we're almost got you, Kevin. Almost got you.
Yeah, I wore the boots yesterday for the first time, and my feet are still recovering. So the hat, I was advised that if I don't own a horse, which I don't right now, that I would be a poser, so I didn't wear it. But
there's a horse in front of the Target. It only costs 50 cents.
Okay, so if I go over there, I can wear that?
That's it.
Done.
Right
Done.
now you look like a lawyer.
Thank you, Clint.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving on the agenda is City Council business items, City Council communication reports, and regional boards. Berwin, I'm going to start down with you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 weeks ago, we went to Lake Elsinore to the League of California Cities divisional meeting. The mayor pro tem, myself, and Councilman Bash all attended. It was at the Storm Stadium. It was too hot to sit out there and watch a baseball game, but it was a good meeting as usual. This last Saturday, I helped participate in the National Day of the American Cowboy. It was always a fun deal, even though Eastvale did wind up winning the cow chip throwing contest again. RTA, their 25-cent bus rides has went over 120,000 since it started in May, and it goes till the 1st of September. So they've already set a record from what last year was, but they'll set a big record by the time that ends. The RCTC litigation is resolved on 2 lawsuits. One of them was the State Route 60 truck lanes. That's the road between Moreno Valley and Beaumont. And somebody had sued them to keep them from building those truck lanes, which are desperately needed because that's a little narrow road over there. So they got that resolved, and they will be starting construction on that this year. The other one was the Midway County Parkway, which is a 16-mile corridor, runs from Parish to San Jacinto. It's going to be a straighter road than what they've had in there before. That also got resolved, so that'll be starting construction here pretty quick. The I-15 update, if you go down the I-15 every day, you notice all the construction day and night. They're pouring concrete in the middle, so they're already working on one bridge here at, I believe it's 3rd Street, where they have to join the freeway in the middle there at the bridge. They're working on that one. They'll put all of them like that together, and they've got their cement plant set up on Hidden Valley, and they should have I haven't been down there the last couple of days, but they should have the conveyor going from where the cement plant is out to the middle of the freeway to keep the trucks will all fill with cement out in the middle of the 2 freeways. There won't be a lot of truck traffic on the ramp there at Hidden Valley, which is a blessing. And next Tuesday, August the 7th, over at Eastvale at the Target Home Depot Centers, the NART team is going to participate in the National Night Out. As we have the last 3 or 4 years, we set up our display, and what it is the Sheriff's Department brings their whole, every piece of equipment they've got, but I'm sure Eric will talk about that in a minute, but the NART team will be there next Tuesday. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Berwin. Robin?
Nothing to report.
I want to thank you, Robin, and your kids for coming out, Day of the Cowboy, for helping us out there. She's one of my purveyors of cow chips. Kevin?
RCA and WRCOG were dark, so there's nothing to report there. Right now, for the League of Cities, for the yearly conference, Roger, Kelly, and I were getting ready to do our presentation, which is how did a tiny town called Horsetown, USA, create two world-class event arenas, the Silver Lakes and the Veterans Memorial. So we have, I guess, 15, 20 minutes to talk about that. And then I went to the JAF thing this weekend, and I have to talk about that a little bit. I won, and nobody believes me, but I've only played poker once in my life. I have no idea how I won, but I just figured out that's what people accuse me of, and I gave the money back. I gave it back. I never keep the money, but anyway, it was $500, so it was sort of like, oh. But I don't know how I won, but it was really a fun event. And I was the only one probably not drinking, which is probably the real reason I won. But it was a lot of fun. And that's all I have. It was a really great group of people, and it was a lot of fun.
Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. Just actually no report. Our Chino DeSalter board meeting is going to be canceled for tomorrow. But I did want to mention most that's on our agenda has to do with the Santa Ana River crossing. So hopefully I'll have a report on that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to let you know, some of us council members went to the city of Eastvale and the city of Corona's state of their cities to represent Norco. We found out we're not doing bad. All the cities have just about the same issues that they face. So it's good that we all work regionally together. Did attend the RICWA meeting with the Chad referenced the Public Works Director, and basically they're working on making sure that the plant runs as efficiently as possible, trying to accrue as many spare parts as they can in case it goes down, and then naturally work on keeping the odors out of it from emitting it. Right now, they're doing a decent job. So. And then again, I want to thank everybody for helping at the Day of the Cowboy. For some reason, I've been the chairman of this thing for 2 years. Berwin, you can have it back. But I want to thank staff, sponsors, all the participants, and all the volunteers. It was a warm day. We got through it, and everybody that came out and helped, and everybody that volunteered. Really appreciate all the help. Bonnie's group, the NHA, doing the obstacle course, the Gymkhana clubs taking care of business. Even though we were light, and the good thing about it, we saw more kids there, young kids like this out here in the audience, and that's what keeps us alive, is bringing those kids and getting them involved like that. So for that, we did good. So, carrying that in mind, Eric, I want you to do about National Night Out, so it's coming up real quick.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. It's my pleasure to talk to you about National Night Out that's coming up Tuesday, August 7th, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. This year it's hosted by the fantastic city of Eastvale in the Target parking lot. It will last several hours, and this is a partnership of your first responders, not only your Sheriff's Department, but CAL FIRE, our good friends there. CHP will be there. This is a family-oriented event. We look forward to spending time with the kids. We have a lot going on. We have static displays. Our hazardous device team is going to be there. Our canine units will be there. Usually the dogs are well behaved and can be petted, but it's entirely up to the handler. Our SWAT team is there along with a lot of the equipment they use. Our explorers, who have become more visible in the city of Norco lately. Our animal control, City of Norco Animal Control will be there. I know the city will have their display as well as NART. We look forward to them each year. Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, a very, very important organization, will be there. In partnership again with Target, so obviously they'll be there. They'll be heavily involved. Fire will have a ladder truck. They'll have a paramedic squad. We'll have the mounted posse. Again, the California Highway Patrol paramedics, there is activities for the kids, specifically face painting, and there's a rock wall. So we look forward to it, seeing everybody there again. Again, this is for the families, getting to know your first responders and the people that proudly serve your communities as well as the city. So again, Tuesday, August 7th, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Eastvale Target parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I guess we need a rematch between Cal Fire Explorers and the Sheriff Explorers on the wagon race. All right. Yeah, we gotta get going on there. Those fire guys beat you. All right. We'll go right down to item number 2, City Council consent items. Any items be pulled? C. Any other items be pulled?
Mayor, I'd like to pull item 2B.
2B. Hearing no others, do I have a motion to approve the rest?
So moved. Second.
Please vote. That motion passes unanimously.
And Cheryl, you had B?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to recommend approval of the budget workshop minutes of May 2nd and May 16th, as well as the regular meeting minutes of June 6th, 2018, and I request continuance of the July 18th regular meeting minutes.
And we'll have those hopefully next time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You're working hard at getting those other ones, so we appreciate that. I second that.
Please vote. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And Kevin, you pulled C?
Yeah, very briefly, Chad, I want to congratulate you. Since you've come, and I know you're a team and that kind of thing, I really want to congratulate you. I just picked this random, but the storm drain, sewer drain, street repairs, the amount of projects that you've begun, in process, and finished is, in my opinion, extraordinary. And I mean, I've been banging around here for a long time, and I've never seen so much work being done. I don't think people realize how much work has been done just in the last 2 years. And please tell your staff and take a kudo yourself. I'm very impressed and really pleased, and you make us look good. So
I appreciate that, and again, we do have a very good team, and I appreciate council support on our recommendations for these projects and helping pushing them through and giving us the funding, and hopefully we can find more and I can do more.
Yeah, and thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve.
A second.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now we're going into public comments. This is a time when persons in the audience wishing to address the city regarding matters not on the agenda may speak. Please complete a speaker card and give it to the clerk. They're in the back room if you don't have one. Do you have any cards?
Jeff Cahan.
Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, residents. I'm here again to remind you, this is my last reminder for our upcoming summer concerts. In August, because of scheduling, this is the time where the 2 concerts are going to be back-to-back. So in 2 nights, on Friday the 3rd, we have our country western band. It's Norco. We always have to have at least one country western band. Shotgun Wedding. They're going to put on a great show for us. Again, that's at Pikes Peak Park at 6:30. And then the following Friday, on August 10th, is our last concert of the summer. For 4 years in a row, we had Yard Sale be our opening band. This year, we wanted to end with a bang, so we moved Yard Sale to the end. So I just encourage everybody to come out on the next couple of Friday nights. We'll have some great concerts to wrap up the summer. As you remember, we had to cancel the Eric Sage concert from July 6th when it was 117 degrees. We've been in negotiations with him, and it just works out that our only available weeks that we could possibly postpone it to, he's not available for, so we had to come to the conclusion that rather than postponing it, it's just going to be canceled. So August 10th will be our last concert of the summer. We've had a great series. Appreciate your support. I believe, Ted, you were coming out this week, and then who was the last one on the 10th? That was Greg. Okay, great. You're the closer. All right. Bat and clean up. So thank you for your support. Yes, sir.
There's going to be a solo by Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah. Well, at least you got some advance notice rather than.
Okay, Cheryl's going to play the violin, so we're good.
So thank you for your support. We've had a great summer. We've had a lot of great residents come out and support this, so we're looking forward to wrapping up these last couple of concerts. So again, thanks.
Sergeant Eckhoff?
Good evening, Larry.
Sergeant Mayor, Consul, staff, and the people behind me. I'd like to talk about my favorite subject, the Ingles Memorial. And just to let everybody know, it is open from 10 a.m. To dusk every single day. And if you go up there and the gate's not open, you call Greg Newton. He will go up and open the gate, and he will take you to lunch for your trouble. He's that kind of a guy. Okay, let's see, we got that. I just want to say a couple of things about my next favorite thing, which is the Circle of Honor and the bricks that are available in the Circle of Honor. They go to provide maintenance and upkeep for the Ingles Memorial. They run from $100, $200, and $250 for the 8x8 with the metal on it. And I want to thank the City Council. Everybody on this City Council has multiple bricks, not just one. I'm not sure about Andy, and I'm not sure about our lawyer, but I'm not going to put him on the spot right here. But I'm just going to say, oh, there we go. Our lawyer, so I'm not going to put Andy on the spot. But Andy, I'm just saying, if you...
We'll talk.
We'll talk. That's good enough. I accept that. Okay, one thing that's a misnomer I want to straighten out. You do not have to be a resident of Norco to get a brick. I claim the honor, and I may be wrong, but I claim the honor of having the relative with the brick farthest away from Ingles Memorial, and that would be my father-in-law, Tomas Mendez, who joined the Army as a medic in Puerto Rico. So that's, I challenge anybody to get a brick farther away from that. I think Guam is, but I'm not sure. So also I think we have over 500 bricks. Is that right, Brian? Over 500 bricks at this time. We need approximately 4,500 more. So I've got a little work to do. And the last thing is, I'm going to do my time there. The last thing is, prior to this, the start of the meeting, I talked to Pastor Fred. And Pastor Fred said, if you don't ask, you don't get. So, which encourages me more, and some people are not going to find that very good, and I'm going to talk more about bricks. But he also gave me his word that he was going to get a brick for his father. Now, I talked to a lot of people about buying bricks, and I understand that, things happen. I'll wrap it up. But I think we can take Pastor Fred's word to the bank that he's going to get a brick. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
I'm sorry. Can I get a hoorah?
Hoorah! There you go.
Can I get a hoorah?
Hoorah!
Thank you.
Bonnie Slager.
Good evening, Bonnie.
Good evening. Good job on Day of the Cowboy, Ted. Thank you. We supposedly have a trail system here, and there's 3 ways I know there's a trail. If there's a no parking on the trail sign, then I assume that that area is a trail. However, I noticed that on Hillside behind the high school, there are several no parking on the trail signs, and I've been told that's not a trail, so what do you want to bet? By the end of business tomorrow, those signs will be gone. So every time I say, well, there's a trail sign on there, so that must be a trail, oh, that's a mistake, and it vanishes. Anyway, in addition to the signs, if there's fencing, I assume it's a trail, and if it's on the trail map, I assume it's a trail. So when they started putting a sign in the trail over on 3rd Street by the college, I was really upset to determine to be told that that is not a dedicated trail there. And I don't see how we're going to have a trail system if we keep putting trail fencing, putting things on map, find out it's not a dedicated trail. I realize this is a screw up of years ago and something else that you guys, it seems like this council has had a lot of screw ups to clean up, and I guess this is another one. But this trail on 3rd Street from Hamner up to the college needs to be a dedicated trail. It's hard to ride now with the construction under the freeway, but it's one of the better ways to get from the side of the freeway I live on to this side of the freeway, go under the freeway at 3rd Street as opposed to going over at 5th Street or Detroit. So it's really important that that be a trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Ferdinand Concepcion Jr.
Good evening, Ferdinand.
Yes, sir. Ferdinand, like the bull.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Norco residents. So I'm here on behalf of the residents of Ellington Drive. So that's the city of Corona. Before I even start, actually, I want to acknowledge my 2 young kids. That's Faith over there, and that's Josiah. She's 8. He's 5. My wife. We've actually started a new hobby at my house, and that hobby is count how many trucks can utilize that Stater Brothers parking lot. That's been a pretty good hobby of ours this summer. We've also counted a hobby of how many times can we contact Stater Brothers in one day in regards to the nuisance that they've had behind the new building that you guys have bought or put up. We actually like that place, but it's just, there's been a lot of empty promises that have yet been delivered. We were really excited when that plan was approved, based on what Lewis and Holmes presented to us, to you guys in Norco, and the residents of Corona. Super excited because of the way everything was presented. Hey, good evening, Steve. How you doing, sir? But now we're far from being excited. It has become a nightmare. We don't know who to go to. I've actually brought photos to share with you guys of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We enjoy living in Corona. We enjoy supporting Norco. We support it on a day-to-day basis. My favorite place is at barbershop. I haven't seen Nick in a while. But we enjoy supporting Norco. But what we've been told the last few months is that it's now a private matter because it's one private and Lewis and Holmes. I still don't think it's a private matter. I still think it's a public matter when all the city requirements that you guys have put in place for the property have not been met. So we're pleading again. And I think we're going to be more familiar with each other because I'll be coming every week or as often as we could. You know, there's a term, that squeaky wheel. I choose not to be a squeaky wheel, but I choose to be a voice of the people on behalf of Ellington residents. You know, there's a few points that my lovely, beautiful wife has written, but I think every one of these have already been repeated over and over and over again. I'll submit it, resubmit it, but all I'm asking for is to look back behind me. I want to humanize the people there. There's literally 24 kids from the age of 5 to the age of 12 that resides in the Ellington, 15 seconds, I'll go. We're pleading for help, and that help is help us communicate better, get the resolutions that you guys have in place for Lewis and Holmes, and I'll leave this behind the talking point so you guys could review it again, and if you guys want to review the photos, they're available to review as well. Thank you so much, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ferdinand. If you want to leave that list with Steve there, you can get it to us. And I know that, Andy, you have worked diligently with the Lewis development on this matter, as far as that goes with that, correct? Okay, all right, that's what I thought. Yeah, I know there's some issues with the Lewis development. They're still trying to figure it out too.
Well, those issues, we're running out of time. I don't want it to be where my son, who will be 18, I don't want it to be resolved then. I do want to enjoy my backyard.
Okay.
That's why we bought the houses.
We haven't forgot about you. I
Please, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Linda Martz.
Hi, I think you all know
Good
me.
evening, Ms. Linda.
I'm Linda Martz, and I've been here many times, and I've met with most of you. So I'm going to read what I wrote, just to make it quick. And I've been coming here since 1997 to try to get something done on Kip's Corner. And still, nothing's been done. Sheriff came out and gave a bunch of tickets a couple weeks ago, and he said business is good on Kip's Corner. Because, man, he was parking, getting somebody, over and over and over. He was doing a great job. Keep him around on our street, please. Anyway, I had a stack like this at home of stuff since 1997. These are letters that I've wrote, my neighbors have written, nothing's been done. So here goes. I'm coming here because my son and my grandkids had the potential of getting killed while pulling into my driveway a couple of weeks ago. This is something I've been screaming about for how many years? And when this happened, I came down here and I think I talked to, I don't see him, he's not here now, quite extensively in the office here. My neighbors are here. They've got 3 children that live across the street from me. They've almost been hit pulling into the driveway. My car has been totaled on my property. I'll just read it. Kip's Corner, City Hall meeting. I'm here because my son and grandchildren almost had the potential to be killed by a speeder on my street. Here's the facts about Kip's Corner. Our street has become a racetrack, both sides of the road going one-way racing. Speeders, big rigs, buses. 2, people who use our street to avoid the stop sign at 2nd and Park Ridge. Hamburg Ford uses our street to work on cars and to test them. We have the driving schools that come down our street to train their people. They're lousy drivers. The city erred years ago by not taking out that corner house to extend Western into the new housing tract behind us. Now we have the consequences of all that development coming through our neighborhood. I asked for speed humps. You said you wouldn't put them in. I said you did over near Stater Brothers, and you said, oh, well, that was because of the development. Well, you know what? We're bearing the brunt of your development over there on behind us. And you need to do something about it. We're bearing the consequence. And after all these years, somebody's going to get killed. We've already had 1 kid hit by a car. We've had cars flip over. We've had mailboxes knocked over. You guys have seen the documentation over and over and over. When my grandkids could have gotten hit, you guys got to do something. I'm serious before something happens. And I'd like to have a meeting with all of you again. I've met with all of you. And you know what? All these years, keep jumping on it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We can't answer a public comment.
AJ Jamie.
Good evening, AJ.
And council members. staff. I'm just here to reiterate basically the same thing that's going on the river and Cordion development behind our property on Ellington. I know we're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. We live in the city of Corona, but the development from Norco is really heavily impacting myself and my other residents. So you guys, a lot of you, especially Steve, know the issues that we've been dealing with here. We've been at one council previously with other residents, and there's been some progress. They've planted a few more plants behind there to try to screen, but that is not the solution, and I believe that that's what Lewis is trying to do. They are in the process. We got a letter saying that they're going to do some screening across the backyard. We do appreciate that. I'm one of the ones that say thank you. I do appreciate that because privacy is probably one of the key issues there, but that's not to solve all. There's still, it's still going to be visible. We'll wait to see what that happens. That hasn't gone on. That hasn't been put up. It was promised at the end of July. I know we're in August 1st, but I haven't seen any progress on that. Some of the issues that we're having there is, of course, the site plan that was originally given to the city of Corona, as well as the residents, showing the elevation of the roadway being very much lower than where it currently is. And the reasoning for that was to accommodate the utility lines that ran behind the property, so the road had to be raised. Unfortunately, that was the major effect of the city residents there. My property, the roadway is extremely high. The top of the roadway, if I'm looking in my backyard, I can see the wheels of these 18-foot wheeled Stater Brother trucks and whatever deliveries they're having there all day long. I can see them out of my window. I've sent pictures to you guys to show you. They have planted some more plants. The maturity in those plants are saying 5 to 10 years. I don't have that time to wait. I have a 1-year-old daughter. We can't play in the backyard. There's a lot of homeless issues that are occurring now in the back of there. There's also lighting issues. They have resolved it at one time. They turned off the lights from the parking lot, but now they're shining. They turn them back on. They're shining back in. The trees that were planted there are inappropriate. They're deciduous, some of them, half of them. So they will lose their leaves 3 to 4 months out of the year, which in turn, it defeats the purpose of the screening. So again, I do appreciate what Lewis is trying to do, but the ultimate solution here is the wall. The wall was originally supposed to be put a new wall there. It was budgeted for a new wall. The wall was not built for, I'm sure, cost-saving purposes, but the wall, my back wall, is only currently 5 feet tall. I have a pole directly behind my wall. I feel for the safety of somebody climbing over it. Because the road was raised so high, it's very easy for somebody to step over and jump over my wall. So I appreciate if somebody could look at it. Again, the ultimate solution for this, and it'll resolve all the issues, is to build a higher block wall. The wall originally was 6 feet tall before the development. It was 6.5 feet on their side. After the development, now it's only 5 feet tall because they had to raise the road and they couldn't pitch the road far enough. So unfortunately, the means ground is only 5 feet tall, and I welcome many of you who have been over there to measure the wall. It's 5 feet tall, not 6 feet, as they should be.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Luke and Koski.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, honorable board members and city councilmen, and my fellow Norconians. Hopefully that's what we call each other, because I've only been here 3 years. We moved here 3 years ago, and we have the same problem on Kips Corner Road as my neighbor does. She's been fighting this for 20 years, and within 3 years, I've seen, like she said before, kids texting, driving too fast, hit the mailbox, flip a car. I've almost been hit several times pulling into my driveway and pulling out of my driveway. I live about the middle of the road. I pull out, I look both ways. By the time I pull out and get on the road, there's a car right behind me on my tail, and it happens too frequently. So I know this has been going on for a while, and we just need something to be done about it because, God forbid, one of my children, we have 3 of them now, and hopefully we'll have more, and we want to make Norco our home, but God forbid something happens to them. We can't play in the front yard because I'm afraid that they might get hit by a car. And as of right now, we don't have the money to put a fence in, so our front yard is basically off limits to us for that reason. I've heard a lot today from the mayor and other members that about children and about how they are the future and about how you want to see them grow up. I want to see my children grow up too, and I don't want to have anything happen. And I mean, what are we talking about? A speed bump, I know costs money, but we need something. So I want to put this in as an official complaint so that we can hopefully get something done for the future, for my future, my family, and for the future of Norco. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Zach Maisnar.
Good evening, Zach.
How you doing? I just want to say thanks for the city of Norco. It's really clean and really about that cleanliness, and it reminds me of Texas. I used to live in Texas for about 8 years of my life, so Norco kind of reminds me of it. But I opened up a new business about 2 years ago. It's on Hamner on Elm Street. There's a gas station and a car lot. I'm right behind. The city's warned me about the signs. I'm 25 years old. This is my first business. I'm really hoping for the city to allow me at least put 2 signs on my corner. Other than that, that's really it. You guys are making you can't have any signs on any fences anymore in the city of Norco. And so I have to get rid of all my banners and everything. So I'm just hoping maybe you guys can help me out and let me allow at least 2 banners so the city, for the Hamner Avenue can see my business. It's located in the back, so I don't get a lot of foot traffic. I just get a lot of advertisement, and advertising is expensive. Hopefully the city will allow me to do at least 1 sign or 2 signs, but that's about it.
You know we cannot discuss it right now, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have you talked to the planning director, Mr. King?
I have a meeting with him Kathy on Friday.
Okay, that's planning. And if you, Steve, you can give him your number there. Right. He's the planning director. He handles signage in the city.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Mayor, that concludes public comments.
Okay. I do have one thing, and before we jump out of John, I know you urgency there. I'm proud of this, is that the city of Norco, we're proudly welcoming the Navy Band Southwest Wind Ensemble to the Norco High School Performing Arts Center on Thursday, August 9th at 7 p.m. It's free at the high school, and so please come on out and join us. If you will take donations, Larry, for the memorial, for the Veterans Memorial, to help with the Gold and Blue Star Mother Pavilion that's going to be hopefully built up there soon. So again, that's Thursday, August 9th. That's at 7 p.m. and that's at the Norco High School, fully air-conditioned theater. And it's a 35 ensemble wood band up there for that night, and it's sponsored by the Veterans Committee. So proud of them. All right, that concludes my part of public comments, and moving on the agenda, we're going to our urgency matter.
Yes, thank you. This is an issue which was brought up today or yesterday? Today by the Registrar of Voters Office, Riverside County, concerning the wording of what's referred to as the ballot label. That's the ballot language that you adopted on July 18th. And it really is a minor technical issue, unfortunately, because of staffing issues, the Riverside County Registrar of Voters, including the fact that the registrar herself is on maternity leave. We're going to have to resolve it here rather than continue discussion with the county. The issue is that by the county's count, the ballot label has 7 words too many. The statutory limit is 75. In making that calculation, the county has included the ballot title itself. It's the position of the city, of virtually every other county, of our consultant, that for the purposes of making that computation, you don't include the ballot title. But that said, if the County of Riverside believes differently, I mean, obviously this is not an issue we're going to litigate, so that what you have before you tonight is modification of the language by the elimination of those 7 words so that we're now at the 75-word level. In order to do that, again, since we haven't gotten much guidance from the county, you all see before you 2 resolutions. One is 2018-43, which is the one you adopted last council meeting, amended, and the second is 2018-52, which is a new ordinance which says the same thing. We will ask you to adopt both of them in the alternative, so that once we do get some feedback from the county concerning what they'd like us to do, we can submit the appropriate resolution. They're 2 good ones.
Okay, John? All right, so...
If you look at the staff report, first page...
Something in red is...
Flip it over. The red is the language change.
The red is what was removed, correct?
Right.
Are you done?
Yes.
Council, have any questions of Mr. Harper or Cheryl or staff? Kevin, start there with you. We just got this, so...
Yeah, we just got this. You know what? Just a suggestion to keep Norco to continue protecting Norco's unique open space lifestyle. I like open space or large lot. And then what you could do is go down, avoid further infrastructure deterioration, as you get rid of. Continue. I don't think you need to say continue again there. You've lost 2 words. I just think animal keeping, open space, large lot, I think any one of those needs to still be included somehow, and find 2 words somewhere else that can be cut out.
Then you can, let's see, you can eliminate continue and make that restore and maintain.
Right. So you could say to continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping, open space, large lot, any one of those 3, lifestyle, avoid further infrastructure deterioration.
And actually, you could eliminate the word to.
Yes, I was thinking that too.
Just continue.
Yeah, I like that.
Or you can eliminate both twos for that matter.
Okay.
Which one?
The 2.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the second 2. The 2 continue.
Norco, and then continue protecting Norco's unique lifestyle.
Yeah, I would say to keep Norco, continue protecting Norco's unique lifestyle, as opposed to continue.
And you could keep animal keeping or open space or large lot.
Yeah.
Avoid further infrastructure deterioration.
I can add that the first, where it says to keep Norco, to continue. You're wanting to remove
the
that too.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's up to
it's a
council.
question, so it kind of falls in line with the entire
Cheryl,
language. It being
are you
a question.
counting on words on that? Just so we have, I don't want this to go on and find out we have too many words. So.
I mean, if I had my druthers, I would like to keep animal keeping, open space, and large lot, but I think we need to keep at least one of those ideas. Continue protecting
animal keeping rather than open.
Any one of those 3, I think we need to point that out.
Andy, I know you want to say something.
Yeah, jump in there, Andy.
Add something. When staff looked at this, we believe protecting Norco's unique lifestyle obviously encompasses animal keeping, open space, large lot. There are plenty of opportunities down the road where this will be expanded. But again, the thinking is that the unique lifestyle refers to that we don't have to repeat it. But again, we're open to whatever way the city council wants to reward this.
Yeah, keeping in mind that while this is going to be on the ballot, it's not the primary document or explanation to convince people to vote for it.
Except it's going to be the major thing that people are going to see when they vote for it. This will be the major thing. And rather than the word TO, I'd rather see if I could keep open space or large lot or something like that. I think people need to understand that you've named the three things that are at most risk right now. Animal keeping, open space, and large lot. And lifestyle, I get that lifestyle encompasses it, but there's a part of me that would just like to say it.
If you want to eliminate two words, like I said, you can eliminate the second two and the word continue and change restoring to restore and maintaining to maintain.
You could also lose, again, avoid further deterioration of infrastructure. You could go avoid further infrastructure deterioration, and you've lost another a word. And then you could add, if you want to keep the continue.
Kevin, while you think about that, Greg, I see you have some comments.
Overall, I'm fine with the changes that the clerk has made on this, that this may be the last thing someone sees before they vote, but hopefully they're informed to whichever their opinion is before they do their ballot. Kevin, if I was only going to make one change to kind of support your position, I would bring it back to our general plan and just keep it as Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle, and stay with that. I don't see to add everything else with that, but just kind of keep with the general plan.
And you could get that by going to keep Norco, continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle, and avoid further infrastructure deterioration. You could even keep the continue restoring and maintain. You'd be right there.
Then you're balanced, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get.
You just need to add two words. You need to eliminate two words, and eliminating two, and then eliminate of and move deterioration to following infrastructure.
Greg, anything else?
I always trust grammar to Robin.
I'm going to do that right now. That was my next question. Okay, Teach.
I'm good with taking out the two ofs and flipping those words.
Okay, you go to the other changes in a little bit. Berwin? As long as it's... and I'm going to defer to the teacher and the other qualified person because I'm a firm believer in keeping it simple. And so without getting a lot of rhetoric in there that confuses people. So did we get our 75 words now?
I just want to confirm you're wanting to remove the second two.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't, since it is a ballot question, it doesn't, as you proceed further down, it then asks, shall the city of Norco? So it takes away from that. I mean, maybe I will defer to Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer if that's grammatically correct. If you take out that second two, does it still read as a question?
Well, you could get rid of the second continue and leave the two. So to continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle, avoid further infrastructure deterioration, restoring and maintaining local streets, trails, facilities.
And I'd actually probably, if we get that far, change two to something like and, rather than to but keep Norco and continue protecting.
Or eliminate the first two, keeping Norco.
Keep the first two.
Okay.
Again, I don't think that, it's kind of up to Robin more than anybody else, but that where we ended up with the elimination of the to and of. The county isn't going to judge us on grammar, just whether.
No, they're not. So without confusing everyone, so we're all on the same page. Cheryl, do you have enough to read that back to us?
Okay, so it's City of Norco, Horsetown, USA Lifestyle Protection and Vital Services Measure to keep Norco. Continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle.
If you want to continue, put a comma there.
Comma where?
After Norco.
After.
You need a comma.
Yeah, put a comma. And then.
To keep Norco, and then comma?
Yeah, keep Norco, comma.
So
Continue.
take the exclamation point out?
Oh, you can leave an exclamation.
And then remove the first two?
And then remove the first two, yeah.
Or I mean, the second two. Okay. So to keep Norco, comma, continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle, avoid further infrastructure deterioration, continue restoring and maintaining local streets, trails, facilities, equestrian amenities, and parks, and prevent additional cuts to police, fire, and emergency medical services, shall the City of Norco adopt a locally controlled 1-cent sales tax generating approximately $4.5 million annually until ended by voters, requiring independent audits and a citizen Oversight Committee.
And actually, looking down Robin, I think that after medical services, that's probably a comma, not a semicolon.
Yeah, it'd be a comma.
It'd be a comma, not a semicolon.
The nuns would be proud of you. So the real question.
Let me do. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, I just want to make sure.
I just wanted a minute to count one more time.
That's what I'm saying. Get the count so that we're not at 76 and you get it bounced off.
Or give us the authority to drop out a word if the count comes back to him.
That we can do too. While they're counting, I am going to open this up because it is a public hearing. I will open it up for public comment. It's comments, but we have to.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot. No.
It is 75 words.
And it's not a public hearing, but by statute, everyone has the opportunity to comment on any agenda item before it's acted on.
Yeah. Is that okay with you? Okay. So we're good, Gerald? Can you
reread it again?
Yeah, please reread it. If you got 75, we're good. Let's reread it.
Okay. City of Norco, Horsetown, USA Lifestyle Protection and Vital Services Measure to keep Norco, continue protecting Norco's unique animal keeping lifestyle, avoid further infrastructure deterioration, continue restoring and maintaining local streets, trails, facilities, equestrian amenities, and parks, and prevent additional cuts to police, fire, and emergency medical services, shall the City of Norco adopt a locally controlled 1-cent sales tax generating approximately $4.5 million annually until ended by voters, requiring independent audits and a citizens oversight committee.
And that is 75 words.
That is 75 words.
Does council have any other comments before I open it up? Nope. Okay. I don't know if you have the card.
Yes, I have one card, Mayor, from Jeff Cahan.
Jeff. You, Jeff. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not here to argue over your corrections and punctuations, but while the topic is open, and obviously I supported the resolution to put it on the ballot, so of course I'm here to support it again. I don't think there's going to be an issue. But while we're on the topic, can we just get a clarification? As a commissioner, I've been asked whether I legally can advocate for this ballot measure, or whether council members or staff or anybody else can legally advocate it on their own time, as long as no city, my understanding is as long as no city funds are expended or resources are used, however that wording is. So can we just get clarification on that while we're on this topic of the tax, please?
You want to wait until later? If you can, John.
Oh, sure, easily. The only prohibition is, it's a constitutional one, is expending public monies to campaign for a ballot measure. And, you know, we've used the word advocate. The California Supreme Court, in a case called Vasquez, said clearly city councils can advocate and, in fact, can spend public money advocating, which is a different definition than campaigning. In the Vasquez case, it actually had to do with an explanation of a ballot measure by the city council that indicated, here, if you don't pass this, here's what's going to happen. We're going to close parks. And the lawsuit was, well, that's advocating. And the court said, yeah, that is advocating, but that's not impermissible. What's impermissible is spending public money to go out and say, vote for Measure BB. To mount a campaign encouraging voting. So the answer to your bottom line question is city councils, individuals, planning commissioners, commissioners in general, staff, as long as it's not spending public money, absolutely can advocate for passage of the measure, or against it for that matter, I suppose.
Because as citizens, we certainly do not give up our First Amendment rights to freely discuss
and the flip side
issues.
is that the only reason that this is an issue is because the California Constitution says that a public agency can't do that, and that's not what's happening. The public agency is not spending money to do that. Individual, I mean, you can give a speech at every city council meeting in favor of it if you want to.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to be real liberal if anybody else has any comments on this thing before we bring it back to dais. See none, I'll close it and bring it back up here.
And I'm going to ask that you adopt both resolutions with the direction that that which is preferable to the county is the one that's submitted to the county and is effective.
So does council have any further questions of staff or the attorney? Nope. And can we entertain a motion to pass this? Got a first and a second?
Please vote on this item. The motion carries unanimously.
And there's two motions on this?
No, that's
just the one?
Yeah, the one motion adopted both resolutions in the alternative and directed staff to submit the one to the county, which is what the county wants.
And get back in order now. All right, we're going down to 5A, public hearings on the ordinance, and this would be staff. Chad?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is another effort of ours to update the municipal code. Last year, the council approved our modifications and overhaul of the water portion of the municipal code. Now we're finally getting through the sewer portion of the municipal code. It was very antiquated, had a lot of information in it related to old practices, old fees, things we just don't do anymore. A lot of that related to, BOD, COD, or pH, because basically chemically analyzing your waste stream to determine how much you're going to be charged, and the formulas used to determine how much you'll be charged. That all stopped long time ago. Now we just have straight fees and associated that folks pay, that pay for all the services that we need. So it was just really taken out of a lot of antiquated information, old jargon that really is not relevant anymore for what our sewer system is. So, and we basically modeled it after the water ordinance as far as the information related to the customer service, their rights as customers, information that's available to them, the information they must provide to do accounts, responsibilities related to the sewer sewer service for property owners. Again, we kept that the same as it's always been. We just kind of cleaned it up. And we also combined several of the chapters that were added years later from the original 1407, which was 14.13 sewer connections and testing, again, stuff we don't do anymore. Chapter 14.4, which is really the water infrastructure fee, which, again, we just basically added that into the revised ordinance so we don't have separate chapters. And then the last chapter, which was 14.6, which is reimbursement agreements, which, again, we have that in the language. We have the same language in our water municipal code that you guys approved, basically outlining, if there's going to be any development by a contractor that he's going to build infrastructure beyond what's necessary for his development, that we can enter in agreements with them to basically pay them back once other developers move into that area and add on to that system. So we basically have eliminated chapters, adding them to the new one we've revised to make it very clean, simple, and not disjointed as far as how our municipal code is written. There is one error in the report I want to point out. It is, if you, on your index, where it lists all the different chapters or sections, 14.07.300, which is called sewer connection fees, should not be there. It actually is not in the body of the municipal code. Unfortunately, we made a last-minute change in eliminating it, but I had forgotten to eliminate it out of the index. So it's not in the body at all referenced, but it should have been removed out of the index. So I'd ask that if the council does approve this ordinance change, that we make it with that one change. We will take out the reference in the index of 1407.300 out of there and remove it and ready for the second reading. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the revised ordinance.
Does council have any questions of staff? Berwin? Robin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple quick ones, Chad. On 1407-410, which is the maintenance of private lines, on number 4, it talks about that if it's found that cleaning problems or damage exists to the intrusion of roots from street trees, that the city would be responsible for the removal of the roots and repairs and all that kind of stuff. How often does that happen?
We get that a couple times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And then the next question I had is 1407-420, inspection of premises. And it talks about that you or one of your representatives can inspect any premises where wastewater is generated. So I'm assuming that's residential, commercial, wherever. And that such premises shall allow the director or such representatives ready access at all reasonable times to all parts of the premises for inspection. I'm just wondering, what kind of notice do you give for folks if you need to go do an inspection?
Well, yeah, and obviously we're not just going to walk on somebody's property, so we're going to certainly be in contact with that resident, depending what the situation is. And again, it's usually there may be an overflow that's occurring, and it's coming off the property somewhere, and we're trying to determine where it is. It could be there's a lot of overflow in that area, and we may suspect that they actually have their irrigation or their runoff collection points actually tied into the sewer, causing excess, which is not allowed. Mm-hmm. So, and that's really what this is meant for. If we need to do an investigation because we're having improper connections that shouldn't be there, but obviously we can't just walk onto somebody's property, despite what this may indicate. It's just simply we must make a good faith effort to work with them and basically use this to say we have a right to come on your property, and the municipal code allows us to do that, but we would obviously work with them, and if they chose not to let us on the property, they can, and then we would have to go through whatever measures legally to actually get access.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on that. Thank you.
That's it. Kevin? Craig?
Thanks, Chad. Referencing 14.07170, required connections, and this is specifically would be your page 25. Non-connect fees. So on page 25, second paragraph, we're talking about RCWA. Now that the treatment plant is fully operational, all property owners with access to public-owned treatment works will be required to pay their share of costs to the plant whether or not they are hooked up. Okay? I just want to make sure we're not pushing on the residents that if you have a septic and you're within 200 feet, this isn't changing anything on the non-connects. You're not.
No, it doesn't, like I said, this doesn't change any fees, any requirements, any impact fees. It's simply, we're just reformulating what really existed and either cleared it up or left it as it was because it was already okay as far as explaining the issue.
Okay, and our policy still remains the same, that if you are paying the non-connect fee, that at the time you want to hook up to sewer, you will pay the cost on your own property.
Correct.
To run that line.
Correct.
But the connection to the lateral, whether it's in place or not, will be done at the city's expense.
It depends on, and that's part of this process, depends if it was an assessment district. So if it was in an assessment district before and they paid assessment fees, at the time, in any of those assessment districts, the city was obligated when it built the infrastructure was to put in a lateral for that property. So there may be already a lateral existing. If they had paid assessment fees, and we have the documentation for all the properties that paid assessment fees in our repository, if it turns out they paid it, but we didn't put in the lateral, then we would be obligated to pay to put the lateral in for them so they can connect to it.
Okay.
But most cases, in most assessment districts, we put in the lateral to every property, even vacant properties, so that it was there. But some of them, because they didn't pay the assessment, we didn't put a lateral there. But I'm not going to say that we were perfect, because I know it's happened in the past where we were supposed to put a lateral to a property and it never got done. We verified that and we installed that lateral. And it wasn't any additional cost to the resident at all.
All right, that's what I want to make sure we're not changing any of that.
Nope.
Now with the plant being completed, okay, can the reasoning, let's see if I can put this right. The residents used to be told that the reason you pay a non-connect fee is to reserve capacity at the treatment plant.
Right.
Okay. Does that statement go away since we do have additional capacity with the plant being completed?
And it's a good question. It doesn't go away because we're still reserving that same capacity. It didn't go anywhere. We actually just, again, expanded for any potential future development. And that's what, as far as like I say, for our portion of the treatment plant that was expanded, we bought into that expansion. So we didn't have to. We could have simply said we didn't want more, but we chose to purchase more in case of any potential developments where we needed additional capacity beyond the assigned lots that there are now. Meaning, and there's the example, if we ever develop something up in the hills on the Wiley property, which was not planned for as capacity, it would be, let's say they built a gazillion homes up there. That's what that extra capacity would probably be used for directly. We already had the capacity for the existing residents to attach to, and that's still being reserved. Nothing changed, and it's always be there available for them. So we couldn't say, oh, well, sorry, you need to pay something more. We didn't have your capacity. We're basically saying it's always going to be there, and it's our obligation to make sure it is there.
Do you offhand know how many non-connect services we have?
I don't.
Okay. Would you, Gina?
I don't want to guess right now, but
will you let me
general
know?
idea. Sure.
If I know.
I'll let you know.
I'm just curious on that. I just want to make sure we're not going to jerk anybody around on the non-connects.
No, we're not changing anything, and only time they would have to do their own installation of a new lateral is if it was a property that never paid the assessment district, and then they would just pay the regular impact fee we now have, and they would build the whole infrastructure on themselves.
Correct. Understood. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, sir.
All right. No other questions. This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Do you have any cards?
No cards, Mayor.
Seeing no cards, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais. Go ahead. You got first and second. Go ahead, John.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco amending Norco Municipal Code, Chapter 14.07, Sewer Use, renaming Chapter 14.07 to Sewer System, and deleting Chapters 14.13, Sewer Connections Testing, 14.14, Wastewater Infrastructure Facilities Fee, and 14.16, Reimbursement Agreements, Code Amendment 2018-02.
Please vote on this item. That motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Going down to 5B, ordinance number 1040. Gina, that's you.
Yes. Thank you. I'm also bringing forward a revision to an ordinance that hasn't been revised since 2000. And we are also modifying language, removing language. We have reference in our municipal code purchasing system, chapter 3.24, of having a centralized purchasing department. And we do not have that. We don't have a purchasing agent. We are changing the language there as well. And the reason for bringing forward this item at the moment is we are currently required by the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, to implement and reference in our purchasing ordinance uniform guidance requirements associated with cost principles, audit requirements, and federal regulations beginning July 1st, 2018. And we have a reference to that in the new ordinance. Additionally, the uniform guidance principles allow us to modify our limits. In the case of the federal standards, they're at a limit that is higher than we would ever adopt. But in looking at that, we did realize that our limits were back at year 2000 levels regarding purchasing limits, procurement methods, purchasing amounts. And I'll go through these changes and bullet points that we have in our staff report. We're looking at requesting a modification to what are called micro purchases. Originally, those micro purchases were set at $2,000, and we're requesting an increase to $3,500, which basically allows department head approval only. No purchase order is necessary. And solicitation of competitive quotations are not necessary as long as they are reasonable. The second level we're looking at is modifying the purchasing amounts from from 2,000 to 3,500, and then the limit, the high-end limit is 5,000 to 10,000. And a purchase order is required, a minimum of 3 informal quotes or proposals, verbal or written, and a department head approval is required. And we're also, for the medium level, between $10,000 and $50,000, which was previously $5,000 and $25,000. A purchase order is required, a minimum of 3 written quotes and proposals, department head approval required, and the city manager must approve purchase orders over, and that should be changed to $50,000. That is a typo there. And finally, we're requesting a revision for city council approval to change from $25,000 to $50,000. And that is a purchase order is required based on formal selection from sealed bids or competitive proposals. Other changes we are requesting are clarifications, and this is associated with uniform guidance, clarifying situations where exemptions to procurement methods are allowable. We're going to amend procedures to remove outdated information, which we mentioned earlier, add the uniform guidance requirements, and include procedures for procuring services. We provided the red line version in your report. As you can see, it's minor language being removed. The big change for us is our purchasing limits amounts that we're requesting City Council review this evening. And I'll leave it open for any questions that you may have.
Okay. Council have any questions, staff? Berwin? Robin?
I have a few, just probably clarification. In 3.24.05, the requisitions, can you just tell me what an approval stamp is? I'm not.
Approval stamp.
Because it said that purchases under $3,500 can be, shall be processed using an approval stamp or a request for a check.
Yes, we currently use approval stamps. So it's basically a stamp that allows us to indicate the account number. The department head signs on it as well.
Okay.
And it's a requirement of one space on the paper to get all the signatures.
Perfect. The next question I had was when we looked at the purchases over $50,000, and you talk about the bulletin board. It's on page 6 of your ordinance number 4. You can shall advertise intended purchases or sales by a notice on the public bulletin board. Where is that at? Is it, or where will that be?
There's one in front of the City Hall, and that also we use the library.
Okay.
To post up.
Is that stuff currently posted in the bulletin board out in front of City Hall?
I think Cheryl,
or no?
For 25,000 and above. Publication.
Okay.
Let me just add to that. We also do a notification in the newspaper.
Right.
And it runs twice. And then in addition to that, then we put it on our website. When this was done originally in 2000, where we are on the website, those things weren't done at that time. So the information out now is greater. Plus, we go to all of the various trade rooms, Dodge, all of the clearinghouses. It's also advertised there as well.
Right, and I knew you did all that. That's why I was wondering why the bulletin board's still there and if that's really an effective or appropriate way to do business at this point in time. Just asking.
I think it's probably there more honestly for habit and just because it's for the public who may walk in.
Okay.
But probably it's not as practical for those who really want to be competitive bidders. The methods we use now and trying to get that information are more effective.
Okay, and so the way this is written, is it an option to use the bulletin board, or is it we must use a bulletin board? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
That's a good question. I'll review the OMB to see if that's
It's an option, so it's not a must. Okay, just making sure that if we miss something on the bulletin board that somebody's going to claim we weren't following procedures. So that's the only reason why I asked. Page 9, 3.24150, on gratuities. The only thing that I wanted to ask or get clarity for myself on, and again, I don't know if it's the same on your guys' side as it is on the school side. When you're going to trade shows or conferences, or if there's a social at a conference in the evening hosted by so-and-so, do those items fall under Section B? Like if there's freebies at the Caterpillar booth and they're handing out stuff and we're looking at buying a Caterpillar tractor, or you're at the ICSC conference and so-and-so hosts a social and there's free
This
drinks.
language really has to do with something in direct connection with the purchasing decision, so that there's a vendor who's submitted a proposal and goes
wants to take somebody out to dinner.
Can't do
Okay.
that. The other stuff is addressed by the Conflict of Interest Code and the Fair Political Practices Act.
Okay. All right. So I think that's all my questions.
Good question.
Thank you.
Kevin? Greg?
Yeah, thanks. Gina, I appreciate you cleaning this up after all these years. My only concern is on procurement method, where between $3,500 and $10,000, where we have a minimum 3 informal quotes proposals, verbal or written. And I think it's the verbal part that bothers me, but it also has to do with some of my own philosophy with it, that I always refer to this as going shopping. And how do we build in place that, yeah, I got 3 verbal quotes. I called A, B, and C. I see Brian grabbing his mic. You know where I'm coming from on this, is that it's kind of like any dollar saved is a dollar earned.
We're required to document that, and it's the same thing as a phone quote that I receive. I have to document that on paper. It has to still be submitted in the process. So a verbal is a phone quote that we would receive for a dollar amount in that regards. So it's not just, oh, hey, I'll charge you $10 for this or $100. There's more to it than that. We actually have a form we use that identifies the verbal quotes, and you have to identify those verbal quotes.
So it kind of bleeds into the written.
Yes, the difference is that I don't have the paper sent to me officially. I've received that from the vendor who's quoted me a price for those materials I'm going to purchase. Thus, I would write those down on that I'm buying X number of this, the quote is for this with tax, et cetera, et cetera. And I would do that for each of those vendors.
Okay.
And we actually have a form for that purpose, which is part of our manual.
Councilman Newton, just to add to that, as far as in the same type of scenario, we may ask requests and do it all by email, and we may only get 2 out of 3 responses. And what we simply do is print out our original request for the quote, and we just list it as non-responsive. So that still counts as 3 attempts to get the quote. So it's a similar situation to somebody simply giving you something over the phone.
I mean, I'm fine with that part. I think the other part is, and it's the challenge of you as department heads, the philosophy how to, don't just stop at 3, squeeze more.
Yeah, and a lot of times that'll be driven by the urgency of whatever we're having to get fixed, repaired, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and typically we will do that, and sometimes, particularly on certain services, we may solicit out 10. And as in today's world, it's really different. When this was written in 2000, no one even contemplated the internet and what you're able to do through solicitation for bids off the internet now. And so that opens the whole door for that. So you can send that out to 30 people basically and get whatever responses you want.
Thank you, Brian. Gina, thanks. Chad.
So, I got one question, Gina. On the first one, you're on your amounts less than 3,500, previously 2,000. How many do you think, ballpark figure, do we do a year like that? I mean, and the reason I say that is because it's not like if there's 10 or 100 or if there's 1,000, that adds up quite a bit. That's what I'm trying to say, because I'm looking at there, is the no purchase order necessary, solicitation, competitive quotation not necessary, as long as they're reasonable, and then you got a department head approval required. I just don't want, if it gets, do you have a cap to how many times you can do this, or any one of you department heads that can chime in?
Well, there isn't a cap in terms of how many times a department can do this. Do we review to make sure things aren't split?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yes, we do.
So there's no splitting, and you don't keep going back to the same vendor, I don't need it, and doing things like that. For you guys know what splitting means. It means you go through and it's a 10,000 item, and I'm going to get it you 3 times, and to do that. That's what splitting is, yeah.
To the same vendor?
The same vendor, yeah.
Is that spoken from experience? I mean, I know you.
Yeah, well, I know I had to watch it when I was in the sheriff's department. We saw that many times. So, you watch and keep track of that. So it's not something you're going to see happen all the time.
No, and I should also say, going forward in the future, this is our first step, and we want to be looking at citywide purchases, in line mostly with the goal of looking for efficiency and effectiveness along the way. So this is establishing that baseline so that we can look citywide.
Okay. All right. No other questions? It's a public hearing. I'm going to open up public hearings. Do we have any cards?
No cards, Mayor.
Okay, no cards. Bring it back to the dais and close the public hearing.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Norco amending Chapter 3.24 Purchasing System of the Norco Municipal Code, Code Amendment 2018-05.
Please vote on this item. Motion passes unanimously.
I was thinking about just continuing on. So 10 buildings, let's see how long this will get. Keep it going rather than me sitting in there. All right, normally we take a break when it gets close to 9 o'clock, but I see the applicant sitting in the file, and we're short here, so if council doesn't have any objection, I just want to keep going. All right. So we're moving on to 6A, the appeal hearing. Steve?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, this is an appeal of a Planning Commission item regarding Site Plan 2018-05 for an accessory building use permit. It's located at 149 Crossrail Lane. This is a result of a code action. The building was built without permits, and there is an open code case right now. The first step in resolving that code case is the applicants are required to get building permits with the needed inspections that go along with that. But the first step to that is they first have to get approval of an accessory building use permit. This went to the Planning Commission. It's a I lost the square footage. 368 square foot birdhouse located at 149 Crossrail Lane. It's located in the middle of the PACA on the property. On a motion to approve, the Planning Commission did not pass it, so it was denied on a 2-3 vote. And the no votes were based on the premise that, and the concern of the Planning Commissioners that voted against it, that its function as a birdhouse makes it not functionable for large animal keeping, which was the primary intent of the primary animal keeping areas. So while the structure works for bird keeping, it would not work for the keeping of large animals. And they also felt that it could too easily be converted into habitable structure as opposed to being an animal keeping structure. So with that denial by the Planning Commission, it was appealed by the City Council, and the options that the City Council has before it tonight is to either uphold the denial of the Planning Commission, which requires only a roll call vote, or to overturn the Planning Commission denial and approve the project with conditions. You have attached to your staff report a resolution which has the same conditions that were presented to the Planning Commission if they had chosen to approve the project. If the City Council determines that they do want to approve it, you could either adopt that resolution or you can make changes to the conditions and adopt it with whatever changes that you see fit to add to it or change. The applicant is in the audience, and with that, I will conclude my presentation.
Okay. Kevin, do you have any questions, staff?
No questions.
Greg?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Robin?
Not yet.
Berwin? Any questions, staff? Okay. And you got no questions? This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open up public hearing. Do you have any cards on it?
Will the applicant be speaking?
I'm
or do you
going to,
want me
yeah, I'll
Okay. Bonnie Slager?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I sort of would like to have heard from the applicant first, but I guess you chose to do it the other way. Alpaca, as you all know, is for animal keeping, and part of what the Planning Commission was dealing with, I believe, was that it wasn't further defined as exactly which animals, and were the birds considered animals that could be on alpaca. That's one question I believe they kind of wrestled with. To me, alpaca is for animals that would not be in your home. So a cat or a dog, or in this case, I believe they have some kind of parrots, they could be in your home, where Clyde does not come in my home. And so to me, alpaca is for Clyde, not for my dog or my cat or my parrot. And so to me, this structure does not belong on alpaca because of that usage. Also, I drove over to see that, and this structure doesn't look like you would ever keep an animal in it. It's got glass from floor to ceiling. From the pictures, it looks like a tile floor. It's wall boarded. It's nicer than a lot of the homes in this town. And it looks very nice. The whole thing looks really nice. But when you see a separate driveway and all the pavers and this little house-looking structure, I fully believe that the current owners don't plan to do anything but have their parrot in there. However, when that property goes up for sale, that screams second residence. Separate driveway, pavers, separate building, separated significant distance from the house, and I see somebody making that into a separate dwelling at some point, which should not be allowed. So I hope that you will uphold the Planning Commission and not allow this structure. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Any other cards?
Rosa Zanika Green.
Good evening, Rosa.
Good evening, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, and staff. Rosa Zuniga Green, I reside at 180 Crossrail Lane. This applicant is just down the street from where I live. I haven't had a chance to completely read everything in regards to what's allowed in regards to an accessory building on a recorded PACA area. I can't tell you that based on what my neighbor has done, and when I hear the intention of the primary animal keeping area was intended for large animals, I don't see that. I have some animals that only require 170 square feet to be able to keep them. They're miniature horses. So if they decided to go ahead and put miniature horses on the property, that's, a primary animal keeping area in around that area. This is supposed to be a large birdhouse. It's a really nice building for a birdhouse. Somebody can go out and sit there and enjoy their animals. Last I knew that, parrots or little birds are animals. And if I want the choice of keeping my parrot inside, I'm going to keep the parrot inside. If I want the choice of keeping my parrot outside, I'm going to want the choice of keeping my parrot outside or my birds outside. There's a reason for why they've done this. I'm not totally familiar with it. I haven't spoken to this neighbor. I'm aware that he did this. I also understand that they did not do it with permits. I believe that if the first step is being able to be in compliance with a permit, then that you need to give them an opportunity to do that. I don't, that building looks a whole lot nicer than a lot of other buildings that are in and surrounding Norco. And to my knowledge, none of our neighbors have a problem with this building at all. So checked around, none of them have a problem with it. So, and the landscaping that they've done is nice. And who's to say if going down the road, you know, if you want to put conditions on it, that it will never be used as a habitable building, then put those conditions on it. And then in the future, when it goes for sale or whatever they decide to do, those conditions will be there. And those conditions have to be disclosed to any buyer. Thank you very much for your time, but I'm in support of what he has out there.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Mayor, that's all the cards on this item.
All right. We'll hear from the applicant now, Mr. Chang. Good evening, Mr. Zhang.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to have this hearing. My wife and I moved to Norco about 9.5 years ago. We live here. We love this city. We love our neighbors. Love this surrounding. My wife and I both reached the retirement age because my wife's health situations. Our doctor suggests us to keep some pets because we live with an empty nest. Our kids not live with us so far away. Then from the very beginning, about 2.5 years ago, we start to keep the birds. At first, we keep the birds in-house. We have a big house. But the birds make a lot of noise in the early morning. And also the small feathers fly all in the air. They will, we ask to say this is not good for health. That's why we planned to build a small, the birds are like 380 square foot in our backyard. We know this is for animal keep area, but we thought this is animal. And last meeting, the project was rejected. Someone said this is pig is for big animal, large animal only. We go back to look at the city document. We did not see any place says pig for large animal only. So we intend to just for our birds, for our and the pets. This a structure built because my wife treats these birds like her kids. She like to be, and we think about to have this structure in line with our major structure. Not looks good. This structure, we sincerely hope this project can be approved, and we promised will not say use this no section, no any water inside. This is not for people to live there. If in any case, in the future, we're going to sell, we get the permission and tell the situation, get the permission. That's for animal only. It's not for people to live there. No water, no section at all, just one space for we keep the birds freely inside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang, hang on there. I'm going to ask the council has any questions of you. I'm bringing it back to the dais. Kevin, I'll start with you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Zhang? Okay. Greg?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm just curious about your contractor that you used. Can I assume that he was a licensed contractor that built your structure?
I was told that they have the license. Yes.
Okay, so He told you he was licensed. And so let's just make the assumption he was a licensed contractor. Did he advise you that, as any licensed contractor would, that you would be required to make application to the city and have building permits and inspections?
They did not ask us. We do not know, we do not clearly say this have to get a license first. If we know, we are not waiting to today have so much headache troubles. We really don't know. This structure deep inside our property line is not affect any neighbors. We lived in your Belinda position before. We will know our neighbor. They build the sunroom. They have to have us to sign because our neighbor have to agree. Then we thought this one will not affect any neighbor, so we did not think about. We have still needed to get a permission first. That's our mistake.
Did you hire an architect to draw the drawings?
No.
Who did the drawings for you?
After that, we was say we have to get the application. Then we have the architecture to.
Well, maybe let me rephrase that. With your contractor, what references did he use to construct your building? Any drawings?
We was told that they will meet all the requirements, say like the post, the 2 square foot for the post. We were not knowledgeable for the building, the construction.
But they showed you some drawings.
Yes.
Okay.
They say they have to be the 2 square foot for the post, the concrete.
Sure, I get that. So the contractor also did the drawings for you?
Roughly, some, yes.
The overall design, or was that someone else?
Not a very formal design, I believe.
Okay. And at no time that, whether it was a designer or a contractor, told you about building permits and procedures?
No.
Okay. But when you bought your property, let's go back to that time, that I'm assuming your realtor, you were aware that there was a deed restriction on the property?
When we bought this one, we actually did not know. But after that, after we moved in, then we heard some neighbor talking about this, why our the space is so big. This is for animal keeping area.
Okay. Thank you.
Bruin, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Robin? Okay. Mr. Zhang, and just a clarification, your building has no plumbing? There's no water, no plumbing, no service?
No.
Sewer?
No.
Nothing like that?
No.
It has electrical?
Yeah, have electrical for lights.
For lights, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then just how many birds are in
over 20, 3 kinds, over 20 birds. Then the birds, small birds coming. We have 5 already, over 20. The small 5, they just coming, not come out yet. And another 2 eggs.
Okay, I mean, they're parakeets, budgies, what do you have?
Parrots, parakeet, and lovebirds.
Okay, and I just want to clarify, just so your wife has separation anxiety or some kind of emotional distress. Is that what you're saying to us?
She had some depression.
Depression, okay. We just want to make sure. All right. and I just want to make sure that if, depending on what the council decides here tonight, under any conditions that are laid out, that would be, you would adhere to those conditions? I mean, I don't know what, did you read the conditions here? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure if we approve of all this, that you would adhere to those conditions, correct? Okay. Now let me go back to Steve. Thank you, Mr. Gang. Steve, the building, we know wasn't permitted from your staff report, correct?
Correct.
And have you gone through and had it evaluated as far as if it would pass inspections, or what you to do to get it up to, if it was needed to be approved? Any inspections?
We haven't done, the only inspections that have occurred have been as a result of the code enforcement action. We haven't had any analysis of what it would take to get the building permitted. There was discussion at the Planning Commission about that, and some of the thought was that they might be shocked as to how much they're going to have to do to be able to get it permitted, but there's been no analysis of that.
Okay, so this is just the initial step that we go through.
Right.
Okay. All right. Council, anybody else? Anything? All right, Berwin.
Steve, if we put if we approve this and put conditions on there, like for the future, like they said that somebody in the future could not use that for a dwelling, is there a guarantee that that'll get written down and get recorded where it'll be enforced if he does ever sell it and somebody else buys it? The conditions, yes. The conditions will go in there and won't get lost.
No, there are conditions in there already that say that it has to be used per the approved plans, and it has to be in compliance with city codes, which wouldn't allow that to be used as habitable space. And one of the requirements of our new accessory building use permits is that they have to record the approved resolution before they can get occupancy on the building.
Okay, thank you.
Robin, anything else?
I guess it's more of a comment than anything else. I think the question that Bonnie brought up that the Planning Commission was struggling with is what is an animal defined as? And so, just thinking in terms of like virulent Newcastle's going around right now, his animals are virtually protected if he keeps that closed off from that disease right now. So in that respect, I think having enclosures and things like that for specific type of animals would be appropriate. So, but it does kind of go, it's outside of the realm of what we normally think about. So, has staff been to the building?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I've been there, so.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin?
So back in '97, Berwin and I sat on one heck of a long committee, and it was out of that committee that a PACA was developed, the entire idea. And we visited rabbit trees, we visited those loud friggin' birds, pigs, and the reason that we didn't put equestrian on top was what we were looking for was a reason for people to take care of a half-acre parcel. Now, I am totally willing if somebody wants to come along and we adjust the PACA to put horses in it. I would be open to that. But one of the things that bothers me is that our municipal code is our constitution, and we have to follow it. And trust me when I tell you, I got 29 horses on the property right now at my house. But the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, Berwin, was all kinds of animals. We went to all kinds of different places, and out of that became the original Pacas up in the hills. He has one, I've been to his house. He has one heck of a nice birdhouse, but I also did ask, he does have electric, but he doesn't have water, he doesn't have a lot of the things. Do we not allow something because he built like the Taj Mahal of birdhouses? I don't think so. I mean, one of the things we want to encourage is for people to build nice things, and he has. I've talked to all of his neighbors. There's not a problem, and for me, that's a big thing too. Neighbors come first. Neighbors come first. And I don't think that it's my job to interpret. And trust me when I tell you, I want horses to be in these places, but we would have to put that into the code. I'm concerned. I want to make sure that he's totally in compliance with all the current codes. I also want to make sure that whether it's a deed restriction or whatever, that somebody who does take that, they could convert that. I'm not so much worried about them living in it. I'm concerned that some lawyer, for example, will come along and turn it into a lawyer's office and then use it to hurt people.
You're saying the lawyers aren't animals?
You know what? I just realized you're right. They're sharks. So if they put a tank in there, snakes. I didn't say snakes, but I want to make sure that he does comply. And I have to tell you that one of the things about a small town is we get to know people. I think that he had, just like we have shiny shoe developers, we have shiny shoed contractors. And I've talked to Joe several times now, and even though I totally get that he should have known he needed to have all these different things in line, I believed him. I think he's a nice man. And like I say, I can't find it in myself to beat the guy up because he built the nicest birdhouse in Norco. So my intent is to support this because, again, I was there when the Pacas were developed. They were developed for animal keeping. And I'm totally willing, if council wants to, after this, to say, okay, it is for horses. But I like rabbits. I mean, I've been in Norco for 55 years. I like rabbits. I like pigs. I like cows. I don't like the loud birds, but his birds aren't that loud. So I intend to support this, and as long as he's in compliance and that there are enough things in place that it cannot be converted into something other than a birdhouse. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Greg?
Steve, so back with the Planning Commission and their discussion, and somewhat what I've gathered here, there are no formal architectural drawings, there are no formal structural plans on this building.
Well, we don't have them we don't have construction drawings. We have conceptual drawings that were presented to the Planning Commission like you received here tonight, but
right.
Plan check drawings, no.
Right, so at no point was this building constructed with architectural or structural drawings?
No.
Okay.
Well, not that we have on file.
Right, and kind of what I've gathered from the applicant, that there weren't any drawings. So my concern is this, and this may have been addressed at planning, was that at some point in time, depending on how council feels about this, structural drawings, architectural drawings would have to be submitted.
Yes.
At that, and then go through plan check. At that point, there would have to be structural observation, basically destruction of certain components of this building to see if they meet what's on the new drawings. Right? But let's say what's constructed today doesn't calc, okay? That, like I said, I don't know if this was brought up or not. Let's say there is no shear, the foundations aren't the correct size, on and on and on. At that point, you have removal of the building if those drawings don't work. could you come, and say this building's torn down, could you come back and do the same building? The way our ordinance is?
The way it is now, yes. If you had conceptual plans for approval and you had construction drawings to satisfy plan check needs, yes. It meets all the requirements of the code, and like has been discussed, the code does not define a PACA as only being for large animals. It's just
Okay, so this is part of the other rub I have, though. But in Norco Ridge Ranch, specific plan, those PACAs were created for equestrian residential use by the specific plan. No. It's a equestrian residential zone by the Norco Ridge specific
That's the name
plan.
of the zone, that's correct.
That's correct. What does that, to me, that tells me that PACA is for large animals. And all those sizes of, like this PACA here is like 2,100 feet or whatever, so it's either the 2 or 3 large animals plus 1,000 square feet is how we determined all those PACAs, correct? So, but I think the whole thing to me is that whether it's birds, whether it's horses, whether it's pigs, rabbits, chickens, whatever, you built this without permits, without approved drawings. And I think that's the fault of this whole thing. To me, it's not the animal keeping. This was constructed without permits, and to me, it's a life safety issue. So at that point, I support the findings of the Planning Commission for denial.
The one thing about this is, I'm going to go back to the PACA, and you claim it's the equestrian area in the ridge. Well, then, if that's the case, then you better go up and check almost everybody's backyards up in the Ridge Ranch. And I can guarantee you they don't have horses in there. There are a lot of chicken coops back there, because my neighbor has it in his PACA. Here's where he raises chickens. The guy next to me, that's where his chickens are. Okay? So, we didn't enforce that and didn't tell the homeowners that. And there's really no reason to go back there and force all those people that don't have horses to get out of Norco Ridge Ranch. I can tell you, having someone that, one of my 4-H projects that I inherited were birds. I inherited it from my brother that passed away. And I raised parakeets. I raised those little budgies. A lot of work. But they're also comforting. Yeah, they're all over you. And to have them, I built a little Taj Mahal on our dairy farm because that's what my dad told me to do, and that's what my mom wanted. So we built a cute little house. No permits back then, okay. The funny thing about it, guess where those birds ended up when I got older? They ended up at the DeRuyters, where you have Circle D now, okay? The Disney horses, that's where they went. Our friends at DeRuyters wanted the birds after I was with them. A little history. So I know what comfort and how much work it is to do the birds, and he's taking care of them. But to say that birds are not animals and not welcome in this town, we got a lot of chicken ranches. This place, this Norco, no horses. But I tell you, there were a lot of turkeys and chickens here before there were that many horses here. And the peacocks, thank God, roosters. We've already been through roosters. So,
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I take exception to your comment.
You can take exception to it. I'm making a point of the animals.
I'm not saying that no other animals are allowed. I was making a reference to Norco Ridge Ranch, that those PACAs were as an equestrian residential zone. That doesn't mean that I said no other animals are allowed. And so when you made your comment about, let's get rid of the horses up in Norco Ridge Ranch, that's just a bullshit comment.
No, I didn't say get rid of the horses. My comment was that why to get rid of all the other animals? getting rid of the chickens up there, because there's plenty of chickens up
That's
there.
not the point that I was going to make.
Okay, well, that's
right.
where it came across.
Well,
But-
it wasn't meant that way.
So, chickens are animals. Pretty much, you go through anywhere, they're listed as animals. They're taken care of by vets, taken care of by animals. If I was to want pocket pets up there, my bunch of hamsters, guinea pigs, and everything like that, I'd put them outside too. They're animals. So, my feeling on this thing is that we put conditions down that he has to meet, and that's what the planning commission did, to make sure this building gets up to code. He's already agreed to go ahead and go along with those conditions. It may cost him too much to do it. He may have to tear it down and start all over. And he has to agree to that. So as far as that, I'm going to make a motion to approve, to override the planning department's, planning commission's decision and accept the resolution.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to uphold the Planning Commission's denial.
Not here in a second. That motion fails. We have a motion and a second.
Please vote on that motion. That motion carries 4-1 with Councilmember Newton voting no.
And moving on to the next part of the agenda, 7, City Council, City Manager, Staff Communications.
Mr. Mayor, Norco College is very interesting, and I'm wondering, Andy, if you could yourself or direct staff. My understanding is in 1985, when the college took that over, one of the stipulations was the trail, because along with agreeing not to go down certain streets, they agreed that there would be a trail that would connect the housing that was built, because it all went as one package, the housing that was built to the west, and that trail would connect from 3rd. Now, one of the things with a sign, which we all understand, is because they couldn't put it in the middle of the street, they were able to put it on their property. But my understanding is our agreement with them, and we still had some power, even though they were a state agency, because they were able to do the original grading of the property because they were able to ditch some of the houses. And you're older than dirt, you probably remember this. But I'm just wondering if we can make sure.
Actually, one of the few things that was before my time as city attorney, even though it was around.
So my understanding is, and I will broach this with Brian because I sit on his advisory committee, but I want to make sure that we find that agreement, because my understanding is they're required to keep a trail there. I don't like where the sign is, but again, they're pulling this, we're the state, so we get to do what we want. Maybe, maybe not. It really, if we can figure that out, but I'm more concerned that that trail stays intact.
Councilman Bash?
Yeah.
Just, I can clarify that. There is a trail.
Yep.
It is part of the system. I'm not sure where Bonnie got the idea that it wasn't part of the trail system. The issue is they never dedicated the property. We have the agreement you're talking about. It does specify the requirements as far as conditions for maintenance of the portion of property that's within the school district boundaries and what we will maintain, et cetera. The issue is after that agreement was done, they never formally or required a dedication of the physical property, which is what should have been done, to the city of Norco. So there is a trail there, there is a street there. The reality is that because they didn't dedicate that property, which is really that commercial zone that's right there where the commercial properties are, versus where the school district really, where we believe it starts, they never dedicated that, which would have given us the street and the trail and the right-of-way that we would then maintain. Because they didn't physically give that to us, and it was a requirement in the actual agreement that we have, we legally can't tell them to not put that sign where they want. It is still their property. So, but the conditions did require it is a trail. It's supposed to be a trail, and it's part of that whole connection point. That's why we included it on our trail map.
So how do we solidify? I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to move the sign, but how do we solidify the trail? Somebody earlier said we spend most of our time cleaning up previous messes, and this is exactly what one of those is.
What we believe and our understanding, because we've had discussions about this with the school district when they originally started their proposal about the
You're talking about the college, not the school district.
Sorry, the college, excuse me. When they started the discussions, when this all came about, where they're going to put in the median and the issues with our sewer line being underneath that and foundations, et cetera, because they recognized and understood that they still own legally the property, they decided to go through and go ahead and build their sign in the right-of-way area just adjacent to the trail, and while it was their property, because it goes through their state conditions and the approval process. As soon as that process is done and everything is in place, what they would like to do is then dedicate the property to the city with the easements for the sign and the conduit that's underneath the trail that they use to control it. So that is my understanding from Brian and meeting with him and his staff, is their intent once this is all done, is that they would give us that dedication so that we clean up that kind of mess. And now the agreement we currently have makes perfect sense because it has their requirements, our requirements, and we legally own the property. So that is their intent.
Good. So you keep us posted on all that?
Absolutely.
And then second, I don't know if we need to agendize this or not. We with a previous council, and I'm not sure if Greg was there at this time, we talked at length about Kip's Corner, about speed bumps. We talked about making it a cul-de-sac. We talked about a lot of things. We were pretty much told by the fire department at that time that a cul-de-sac wouldn't work, and we were also told that we couldn't use speed bumps. But is Kip's Corner something that we might want to look at again with the new council? Berwin and I were the only two, I think, that were here at that time.
Without making it a lot of discussion on it, it probably should go back to Public Works and planning.
Streets and trails?
Streets and trails, at least streets and trails, if not, and have a discussion with the Sheriff's Department and your traffic engineer on it.
All I can tell you is, again, we met with the residents and some of the council members and the city engineer on this last year, and I don't honestly see what's going to change. Again, the issue of the cul-de-sac is if you cul-de-sac one place, everybody wants to get their community cul-de-sac.
Headley Avenue.
Perfect example. I mean, and the issue with speed humps is, again, it's currently, as we had approved last year, is we basically determined that those would not be allowed in the city for the various reasons we determined. So I'm a little concerned if we're going back to something, giving false hope that something would change from staff's perspective of what the solution might be. That's just my only concern. Again, we can go back and do that, but I'm just want to set the table is that we just recently did this last year, and for all the reasons I just discussed, I don't really have a bigger solution to come up with the problem, because their problem, while it's very valid and it's concern, it's the same problem of many other streets in Norco, but we're not putting the same ideas into those, i.e. cul-de-sacing or speed humps. So I'm not sure how to fairly and objectively view their situation with everybody else who's come forward in the past also, and we try to resolve their issues. So I'd like to get a little more direction if there's something more specific you're looking for in trying to solve this.
If I was to ask you to have Dominic look at any type of traffic calming measure that he has in his portfolio down there that would work, since he is the traffic engineer, and without him okaying it, not a thing we can do.
And I can do that again. That's
just explained to him that way. Let's think out of the box out of it, as to putting an approved traffic calming measure into effect.
And I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Great.
Thanks. Ted, that's a good idea about just what you're saying, more visual traffic calming in lieu of tables or bumps.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go on that. Just a quick follow-up back on the college. How often do we meet with the college to
Not regularly. I mean, we met with them
Quarterly?
last year as
Once
far
a
as
month?
staff. Sorry. On this issue you're talking about?
Yeah, on the sign, I mean, with the communications that we have with the college, shouldn't we have been given a heads up about the sign?
If I can jump in, I was not told about it. The first I heard was I got a call from Bill, and I didn't know anything about it, and that's one of the things I'm going to address, is that I should have been told so I could bring it back to council.
Well, I think we all saw it at the same time. Steve was walking on his lunch break, and, so we all called. So it was just why that lack of communication. And Kevin, that'd be great if you'd follow up on it. Thanks.
One of the things, and I brought that up to Steve on this issue, was, and this is something we do have to get clarification on. We have a business complex that's off of 3rd. We have Les Schwab that's off of 3rd. That street doesn't belong to us, does it? Nope. It belongs to the college. So the easements and the access to that are controlled by the college. So yes, we do need to get that corrected. Robin? Bruin?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that trail on Hillside. I'm not going to buy this story that there's no trail there, no dedicated trail. Because when I first got on council, I was on the school board committee. And we met one day down here, and I'm sure Bill Thompson would remember it. But that little girl had just got killed by hitting that tree down there in that deal. And we talked to the school board that there would be a horse trail on that side over there up above the stadium. And it was going to get put in, and they had to do this, they had to do that. And the next thing I know, there's a chain link fence up there blocking access to the trail. And then they tried to put this story on us that they were going to move the street into the hill 12 feet. So I don't know when that's supposed to happen. I haven't seen it come up. I might have missed it on the CIPs. But there is a horse trail that goes along that road over there, and I will fight from now on that they will not take away a trail, whether it's there right now or not, that there will be a horse trail there somewhere, someday, because there's too much horse traffic along there to do away with it. And so I'm not going to buy the bill of goods that there's not a horse trail there.
Berwin, I'll agree with you on that, because if my recollection is correct, they increased the size of the visitor side of the stadium and went farther into that hill and moved their fence for that. So that used to be the trail, and they encroached a little bit more on that trail, and they were supposed to compensate us for it, and we never did. Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
And they did that without telling anybody in the city what they were going to do, because I got a lot of phone calls on it, and I went down there and looked, and they'd put a fence up. And the member of the group, Greg, that spent all that money making that bench, dedicated it to that little girl, Earl's daughter. Well, then that bench disappeared in the works too. So I don't know. I wasn't too happy with the school board at that time.
Could we agendize? I'd like to agendize that, because we also own the corner, and we've actually asked the school district, they need to move their fence, or they need to figure out a way to put that trail in. And right now we have a very receptive school board, and I think, why don't we agendize telling them we have to have something done there, because it isn't safe, and there are a lot of horses go down the middle of that street.
I'll second that motion.
Council members Newton?
Yes.
Bash?
Yes.
Hannah? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Grunmeyer? Mayor Hoffman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, going down here. Eric, anything?
Yes.
Gina? Gina, you don't have anything, yes or no? Okay. Brian? Thank you for helping on that. Yeah, thank you for helping me on that concert. Appreciate it. Stephen? Steve, I want to thank you for getting all that information out to the Planning Commission. So it's a lot to review. So thank you. Chad?
Just two items. We've started the trail fence replacement on California. So you'll see we've already removed all the trail fencing along California, and we're going through right now and regrading the trail and filling a lot of those divots and holes and removing some of the mounds, etc. So we're in that process, and then also we've finally started our street sign replacement that was approved last year. So Siemens is up there now putting in a lot of David arms, etc. So hopefully in the next week you'll start seeing some of the new signs put in place and remove some of the old metal signs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Matt, anything? Cheryl, I want to thank you, by the way, for all the hard work you guys doing on the community outreach and trying to get the voter registration up. Appreciate a lot of hard work. Thank you. Nope. Andy? Nope. I would like to take the night to close out our meeting for the 4 firefighters that have lost their lives fighting the fires throughout the state, and along with remembering the 55 Korean War veterans that were returned today to Hawaii. They're welcome home finally. So a moment for them, please. Thank you, and the meeting's adjourned.